What's good, party people? It's your man 100 Grand, DJ Pre-K on the 123s and the ABCs, coming at you with a lyric breakdown. A few summers ago, I reached out to one of my good friends, Taylor D Kids TV, who's actually in the Read It Up video, and I reached out to her to do a single. And Taylor is such a go-getter, and when I asked her about the single, she's like, why not do an album? And so we had this bright idea to come up with different holidays that elementary schools celebrate throughout the year and create anthems for each major holiday that's celebrated. And so March is National Reading Month, which we found out later, but we always knew that March was Read Across America Week. That week was in the month of March. And so we knew we needed an anthem to teach kids the importance of reading and to help them love just learning to read and being a better reader. And so that's how Read It Up came about. So again, Taylor and I have collaborated on music in the past. Our first song that we released together was Get Loose, and it was in 2019. And so after reaching out to her saying it's been a few years since we worked together, we decided to start getting on Google Meets together, create a Google document together where we write down all of our ideas. And for Read It Up specifically, we found an instrumental online, and we knew that we wanted this beat to be the beat for Read It Up. Ironically enough, Read It Up was one of the first songs we recorded, but like the fourth song that we actually released together. And when we released it, we knew that it was that one. It was going to be that one from start to finish. And our writing process looked like us muting each other on the Google Meet or on the phone call, kind of vibing out to the beat on our own. And then we'd come together, share our ideas, and write it in the Google document. And so we did that process for, I know, at least an hour. And Taylor's very different than me for her writing process and mine. I have to sit with a beat for a few days, vibe with it, listen to the chord progressions in it, listen to the beat, and just kind of vibe out with it. And sometimes I can just come up with something on the spot, but for Read It Up, I wanted to marinate on it. And when it came to my verse specifically, the song gave me like a early 2000s vibe, the beat for it. And being a millennial, a true millennial, I grew up on hip hop and R&B from the late 90s and early 2000s. And with that said, one of my favorite rappers from the early 2000s is Ludacris. And so when I was writing my verse, I asked myself, how would he approach this verse? And so that's why you hear me rapping so fast at the beginning and then slowing it down, because I felt like that's the way Luda would have approached the verse. Taylor's verse is first, and she starts hers with READ, what? Read a book, which I thought was genius. And it was so lit that when she did it in the studio, I'm in the background like, yeah, right? And then, of course, our producer was like, nah, go in there and do that, actually. So you'll hear me saying, yeah, in the song with that. But for my verse, it starts out as, read it up, read it up, read it up. If you read a little slow, we can speed it up. And so originally, the song, if I look back in the documents, the song was called The Reading Song. But as we were listening to it and vibing out with the beat more, we just kept saying, read it up, read it up, read it up. And so since Taylor didn't use it in her verse and she went before me, I was like, definitely using that in my verse. And so what it means is just read it up, of course, but if you read a little slow, we can speed it up. Sometimes, I don't know if y'all know this, if everybody knows this, but I'm actually a certified special education teacher. So aside from being an artist and a DJ, I actually teach kids how to read every day. So when I say if you read a little slow, we can speed it up. A lot of times children get stuck on decoding words. And so at a certain age, children need to start reading to learn instead of learning to read. And a lot of times fluency impacts comprehension. And so if you read a little slow, we can speed it up. I'm just basically saying I'm going to help you with the tools and strategies that you need to increase this reading fluency so that your comprehension also increases. Read a just right book every single day. Follow me, I'll show you the way. All right, so in the world of education, a just right book. And when I wrote this part, I was like, are people going to understand what I'm saying? But then on the flip side of that, it's an educational song, so let me teach you what it means, right? And so a just right book, if I was asking my students to choose a just right book from our classroom library or the school's library, they choose a book. I tell them to open up to any random page in the book and start reading the words in that page. And the rule of thumb is if students are reading a page and there are 5 words that they mispronounce, that they don't know how to read, that they don't understand, then we would say that that book is not a just right book, because the purpose of choosing books from the library and from our classroom library is for them to read at their leisure. And so it needs to be on their independent level for them to read independently. And so a just right book would be a book that you can read all the words or most of the words on the page without any assistance from the teacher or your peers. So the next line says, reading helps your imagination, education, concentration. What is the message the author's conveying? Let me slow it down so you get what I'm saying. And so these are all the components of comprehension. Imagination, you have to picture in your mind what the story is about, instead of just reading words, like reading words for their meaning and creating images of things that you're reading about the story, about the passage, about the text, so that you're starting to internalize what the story is about. Of course, it helps your education, that's a given. And then concentration, it takes a lot of brain power to actually read a story and to understand what it is that you're reading. And then when it says, what is the message the author's conveying? That's, again, tapping into comprehension and asking the students who are listening to the song, are you questioning the text? Are you asking, what's the author's purpose for writing this? Is there a message or a moral to this story or this passage that I'm reading that I need to know about? Why is the author writing this story to me and to my peers or whoever else is reading the story? So that's what that line is about. And so on this next line, the previous line was, let me slow it down so you get what I'm saying. Up until this point, I'm just spitting it like Luda. I'm just spitting it and I'm going super duper fast. And so I slow it down and say, reading makes your brain strong. I can't forget to mention. Reading lots of books can increase your comprehension. All right. And so, I'm just slowing it down, saying that the more you read, the more you can practice the skills that I'm teaching in the song and that I teach in my classroom, and the more that it'll help with your comprehension. The next line says, read between the lines. Yeah, that's what we call an inference, which is another comprehension tool or strategy to be able to pull from prior knowledge and utilize the context clues in the text to make an inference or read between the lines. Pulling from the text things that aren't necessarily inside the text or in the words of what you're reading, and just guessing or making an educated guess about what the author is trying to say. And the last part says, reading helps you focus and it helps with your attention. And so that just goes back into the amount of brain power that it takes to actually read and understand what you're reading. There are a lot of students that I've come in contact with who are just word callers, they're word readers. So the decoding is there. They've become familiar with high frequency words. So they are able to just read them from memory just by looking at them. But it takes a sustained level of concentration and attention to what's being read and what has been written in order to comprehend what you're reading. And so I just wanted to reiterate that at the end of my verse, just like I did at the beginning. And then I wrap up my verse by saying, left, right, read those pages every night. Left, right, read those pages every night. That's just to reinforce the direction at which we read books. We read from left to right, up and down the page. Just a quick little cool little way that I decided to add at the end of the verse to remind students of how we read. And then in the video, if you've seen the video, you see that we do a little quick little dance with it, and it's really lit when I perform that song live. So the kids are always like, hey, 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 hey. So that's probably my favorite part of the song, actually. All right, party people, again, it's your man, 100 Grand, DJ Pre-K. I hope you enjoyed this lyric breakdown. I had such a blast here. Shout out to Gifted for sponsoring this video. I want to challenge all of you out there who are seeing the video to continue to read, continue to love reading, continue to build on those skills that you are showing needs in, and continue to do your best. There's a whole world out there that needs you in it, and there are a whole bunch of words out there that need you to read them. All right? Again, DJ Pre-K, I'm out.